Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum class. I am Zia Hamid. I welcome you to English Grade 6 video lessons. My dear learners, we are on our unit number 4 of Grade 6 and the title is He's a Carpenter. Now, this will be our lecture number 2 from the competency of grammar, and we are going to talk about an SLO, and the topic will be about capitalization and punctuation. Now, let's get started by reading our students' learning outcome so that we can achieve it by the end of our lesson. So, our SLO is punctuate sentences and short paragraphs correctly using capitalization, parentheses, exclamation marks, full stops, apostrophes, commas. Our SLO is about using and having a skill of punctuating sentences and even shorter paragraphs correctly. We will be using capitalization and exclamation marks, full stops and commas. Now, additionally, we are also going to talk about some other punctuations, but we will be dealing with parentheses, apostrophes later in any other video lesson. So let's get started. But first, I'd like to introduce you to the vertical linkage of this SLO with the previous grade that we have already covered and studied so that you can retain most of your information and your concept. Now, for today's brainstorming session related to the student's learning outcome, you have in front of you a paragraph. Now, you have to figure out which one seems more appropriate. This one without the capitalization or marks, or this one with the punctuation and capitalization. Now, read these both and see that which one is clearly conveying the message without any confusion. Now, I hope that you are doing it correctly and you are done with it. Now, let's move on to our topic, which is about capitalization and punctuation. Let's talk about capitalization first. So, capitalization is when we capitalize proper nouns such as names or places and organizations. For example, names like all the proper nouns, Ahmed, or name of places like London, etc., and any organization like State Bank of Pakistan. So all these different kind of words will be capitalized. The first letter will be always capital. Why? Because all of these are our proper nouns. So this is why capitalizing them is very important to distinguish them from common nouns. Now, let's look at some rules of capitalization. Begin sentences with a capital letter as we did over here. Then capitalize important words in titles, headings, and specific contexts. So all the titles, all the headings, and any specific context, anything that seems important should be capitalized. We capitalize days, months, holidays, nationalities, languages, initials, and also our acronyms. So all these will be capitalized properly because they are distinguished and they are different from our common nouns. So capitalizing them is our way to punctuate them correctly. Now, let's talk about punctuations. We will go through some of the punctuations from our students' learning outcome. Let's talk about full stop. So as you know, full stop is the most recognized and common punctuation in our writing. A full stop is used at the end of a sentence to indicate a complete thought or statement. So when your sentence is completed, it has a complete thought, it's giving a full understanding and also if it's a statement, you will be using full stop at the end of the sentence. For example, I went to the store to buy some groceries. Now, this sentence, the last thing we have over here is our full stop, because this sentence is giving a complete thought, a complete idea, and a very complete meaning. Also, with titles like Mr., Doctor, Professor, etc., we are using our full stop at the end because we are using short forms, we are using contractions. So that's why full stops are also used in things like this. Now, let's talk about comma. Now, a comma is, it separates items in a list, connect independent clauses, or indicates a pause in a sentence. So when there are more than one things and it's kind of a list, or if you want to connect independent clauses together, as we have already read them, we will be using commas. And also if there's a pause in your speaking or in your writing. So when you are pausing in between in the sentence to tell something more, or just a general pause, you will be using a comma. For example, I like to eat apples, bananas, and oranges. Now here we have list of things, and they will be separated by the punctuation mark, comma. Now, this is an example of using comma in your sentence. Let's talk about an exclamation mark we use in our writing. So an exclamation mark is used to show strong emotion, surprise, or emphasis. For example, what a beautiful sunset. Now this is like you are showing an emotion. So this will be ended with an exclamation mark, which looks something like this. So when you're excited, what a lovely day, or just shut the door, if you're showing any emotion, any strong feeling, any emphasis on something that you are very much emphasizing about. Or also when you are surprised, like, oh my God. So if you say something like this in your writing, you will be using an exclamation mark to show your emotion, your feeling, and your surprises. Now, this was all about our exclamation mark. Now let's talk about another punctuation mark which is very important. It's called the question mark. So you're familiar with it. A question mark is used at the end of a sentence to indicate a question. So when you're asking questions, sentences that have questions in them will be ended with a question mark. For example, where does the strength of a nation lie? Now, this is a question. How do we indicate it? Because we used our interrogative words like where or when or who or how. So they will show you that it's a question. Now, right after the end of the sentence, you will end it with your question mark to show the reader that it is a question that you're asking. Let's talk about your classroom activity. Now, for your classroom activity, you have to rewrite the following sentences using commas, question marks, exclamation marks, and apostrophes. Also, add capital letters in the correct place. All punctuation marks that we learned in this video lesson will be put into practice. You are already familiar with apostrophes. Try to make them insert in the sentences where it's needed. Now, for the simulation video, we have a link over here that you can play to learn more about capitalization, some of the rules, and also punctuations and other punctuation marks. Now, here is your worksheet that you will be handed over by the teacher or the instructor so that you can practically solve it using your knowledge. For the homework, you have to punctuate the given text over here. You have to use the capitalization where it's needed, as we talked about it. It's used in proper nouns, it's used with titles, headings, and also names of places, important organizations, and so many important organizations, and all of that kind of categories you will be using your capitalization. And for punctuation, you will add as much punctuations as you know accordingly in the text. So now we are here at the end of our video lesson with all these resources in front of you. They are easily available in the description of the video. My dear learners, I hope that you had great time learning about our today's students learning outcome, and you have a sense of achieving it by the end of our lesson. We talked about capitalization, some of the rules of capitalization, and also punctuation marks like full stop, comma, exclamation mark, and our question mark. I hope that you have fully understood. Thank you. Till the next video lesson. Allah Hafiz.